A very good morning to our respective lecturer, Sir Colonel Myozam. So let me introduce myself. My name is Arunan Analaki Panneselvam. So I am from Batch 70 doing my diploma in enforcement management. So today I am going to present about the background of British in Malaya. So the British attempt to colonize Malaya started as early 1771 but did not gain a foothold until 1786 when the British East India Company procured the island of Penang. The British had gained control of Malaya when they threw out the Dutch in 1795 and made deals with sultans. The British formally made Malaya as a colony in 1867. The Federated Malaya state in southern Malaya was formed in 1895 after the British intervened in the wars of the Sultan. The British gained control over northern Malaya through an agreement made in Thailand in 1909 and merged all the territory under their control to form a Malaya. British Malaya was finally consolidated with the formation of the Malayan Union on 1st of April 1946. The Malayan Union was unpopular in 1948, was dissolved and replaced by the Federation of Malaya, which became fully independent on 31st August 1957. On 16 September 1963, the Federation along with North Borneo, Sabah, Sarawak and Singapore formed the larger Federation of Malaysia. Malaysia became independent from British colonial rule on 31st August 1957. The British attempted to colonize Borneo as early 1771 but did not gain a foothold in Malaysia until 1786 when the British East India procured the island of Penang. Sabah and Sarawak and Brunei were once a part and powerful kingdom of Brunei in 1841. The Englishman James Brooke was granted part of Sarawak by the Sultan of Brunei after he helped the Sultan by putting down a tribal rebellion in 1888. Sarawak, Brunei and North Borneo, Sabah became British protectorates and were separated from the rest of Borneo British-Dutch agreement in 1826 Penang. Malacca and Singapore were combined as a straight settlement. In 1946, Singapore became a separated colony, while Malacca and Penang were united with the federated and unfederated Malay states to form the Union of Malaya. This was replaced by the Federation of Malaya in 1948 with the governor elevated to a high commissioner. The Federation of Malaya achieved the internal self-government in 1955 and the independence in 1957. Below are listed the governor, which is 1946 to 1948 High Commission and 1948 to 1957 and Chief Minister. So Federation Tunku Abdul Rahman became the first Prime Minister in independent Malaya. Thank you. That's all from me.
Hello sir, very good morning to you. My name is Murugan Alakielu Malay from Batch 17. So I'm going to present about the fighting against the British fighting against the Japanese in Malaya. So the Japanese attack on Malaya started on 8 December 1941 and ended with the surrender of British force and at Singapore. Malaya was major prize of the Japanese as it produced 38% of world rubber and 58% of world tin. And also the Japanese commander for the attack on Malaya was General Yamashita. He had under his command XSV army forces up to 6,000 soldiers, many of whom had gained experience in the war. So by that he could also count on HAL group which had 459 aircraft and the Japanese Navy Southern Command which comprised of a battle cruiser, 10 destroyers and 5 submarines. The attack on Malaya had begun of the RFS was ordered into action. By 90,000 the Japanese had achieved a beachhead of Kota Baru despite losing 15% of her leading force. Her combination of well-placed machine guns and heavy weapons still led to the 850 Japanese soldiers being killed and wounded. So by January 31st, British and Commonwealth losses were 9,000 killed and wounded with 130,000 captured. So British their success in China down to the fact that the Japanese were fighting Chinese and not British and Commonwealth losses. So by February 1942, Japanese forces had occupied Malaya, then they launched a new attack against the strategic highland and Singapore. At the southern tip of Malaya Peninsula, on 15 February 1942, British forces in Singapore surrendered to the Japanese. And also the 1944 British returned to Burma in order to isolate impel from a large supply base Daimapo. Japanese troops attacked the small village of Kohima, which became the scene of ferocious fighting. So last in August 1945, other conflicts in Asia and the Pacific continue. Days after Japan surrendered, Indonesian nationalists declared independence from the Netherlands. In September, British troops arrived in Java to take the surrender of Japanese force and recover prisoner of war and also internees. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Hello sir, I'm Rishindan Lucky Perumalaswam from batch 17 doing Diploma in Enforcement Management. Today I'm going to explain about the British fight against the Communist Party of Malaya. So firstly, the British fight against the Communist Party Malaya declared empire at its lowest potential. The Malaysia emergency was not just an ideological conflict against the backdrop of the Cold War. So the second one is the established general labor in cities like Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, in the CPM, which is Communist Party of Malaya, scored tremendous success on the labor front. CPM, Communist Party Malaya, towards a moderate line of facilitating for restoring of British rules and to allow it operate within an open and a legal framework until it was prepared to embrace the struggles and independence of Republic. The authoric atmosphere served the reconcentrate British interest by restoring her prestige in a Republic Malaysia society, while re-establish control over Malaya's rich thing. So the fourthly is the British authorized reality by declaring a nationwide emergency on 23 June 1948, granting the authorized was powers of arrest, detention without trial and deportation under emergency regulations. So Ganapati aimed to the international protesters, the now lawless, under the emergency regulations of 1948. The Party Communist of Malaya, which is CPM, took its fight into the jungles and re-recognized itself into the Malayan Races Liberatory Army in a aimed re-liberation against the government. So lastly is the reconnaissance CPM, which is Communist Party Malaya, dominate unions, instance promoting the development of unions under the control threatened by the illegals. So the CPM, Communist Party Malaya, launched direction conferences against the authorized. So the third main contents of the British battle is the British intelligence circles, which is there are few steps of intelligence circles. Examples, first is directions. In 1948, the year of British declared the emergency in Malaysia that was until 1960. Intelligence of a communist terrorist and the sympathies was absent, uncoordinatedly and poorly used. By the date 1950, Special Branch Department of Police that had been given a responsibility for the direction, collection, productions and analysis and also disseminations of the intelligence. In 1957, direction of the operation 10 years report of the emergency state that the measure of contact between soldiers and terrorists that result in death or capture were directly attributable to the good intelligence. Intelligence cycles may use the British in the war is planning and direction is the first step That's where the requirements and priorities are set. And the second one is collecting police during the war between British and Japanese against Communist Party Malaya, where they will use police and also military to make tough their sides, and they using police and military to gather their collections of informations to attack their enemies. By examples, intelligence cycles that are used is collected. The second steps include all the different activities in main research that involve in the collections of data to satisfy the requirements that we were defined. The collection can be done either via technical or human means and involve gather data from the varieties of source. Thank you, sir. That's all from me.
I'm here again. So there's another intelligence circle. So that I'm gonna explain is production analysis, which is they were used by the British when they're fighting in Malaya. So in earlier 1952, the police and special branch became the center of coordination and processing of intelligence and was tougher equipped in accordance with their vision. So which collecting direction, evaluate, production analysis and dissemination the enemies. So the analysis consists of facts finding and for facts that describe the element of study and allow the estimation of anticipation of events' bad outcomes. To produce intelligence objectively, the analysis apply for basic types of reasons, induction, adaptation, the scientific method. So they will use a lot of once they gather the information, so they will produce and analyze the information to how I can define to defeat the enemies better. So the last intelligence circle is dissemination, which is the military operation. They avert purpose in the latest years of the emergency was to improve intelligence on the enemy in given area, and this was demonstrated in Operation Jaya in northern Malaya, October 1959 June to 1960 June. So the last intelligence circle used by the British in the Battle of Malaya. All the intelligence and assessment together answer the information requirement. So once they gather the information, relevant information by the intelligence officers, so they will analyze and also they will assess the information to gather the requirement to win in the Battle of Malaya. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Hello sir, my name is Karthik Vijayan. So I'm from batch 17. So my part is about recommendations. So in recommendation, the Sultan of Kedah faced many external threats that challenge his power in Kedah. So CMS who were at war with Burma saw Kedah as a protected state and often demanded that Kedah send troops. So however, Kedah had an alliance with Siam. Kedah was desperate and offered Light, which was a British representative, Penang in return for military aid to Kedah. And then Light then took over Penang and assured of the Sultan of Kedah of military assistance, even though this was contrary to the position of his company. So later the company decided and told Light that they would not provide any military assistance to Kedah in year 18,000, so 1800. Kedah handed over Perak to the British. Kedah handed over to the Perak to the British. And then the British government deliberately and cunningly wanted to protect or preserve to the state of Perak, while the real intention was the opposite. So in year 1895, for Malay states of Perak, Selangor, Pahang and Negeri Sembilan under the auspicious of the British government and known as the Federate Malay States. So we all known about Malay, about Perak, Selangor, Pahang and Negeri Sembilan are the Federate Malay States. So their main reasons is to set up uniform administration, create a balanced economic growth, allowed interstate projects to be carried out and curb growing power of British residents. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Good morning, sir. I'm Divya Ruben. I'm from batch 17 doing Diploma in Enforcement Management. So I'm here to talk about the conclusion. So in the conclusion, in this era of accelerating globalization, we are witnessing an increased awareness of diversity and acceleration identity among various religion groups. So the culture of conflict and confrontation in the culture of accommodation and tolerance has been dealt with detail and in preceding pages, which means all these details have been taken step by step so that no conflict or no problems will occur in any religions and so on. And in Malaysia economy, under British colonial administration generally provided much better condition than the Indonesian economical conditions under the Dutch colonial administration and many aspects. So from this we can come to a basic conclusion that British didn't just leave anything, but they had left a good quality conditions for us to have a better place. So that's all from me. Thank you.